And I think we are live now. Got to get that little bit of delay to see when it pops up on the actual stream. But I'm pretty sure we're going to show up and have that awkward dead silence in the beginning of this video.
Yeah, it's working now.
I'm not seeing it yet.
We're live on mine.
I see it.
We're live?
I see it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Then that works out pretty good. All right. I'm getting feedback on somebody.
Sorry,
is
no,
that
that's
is
me.
it?
That's me. The volume's super low. My bad. Didn't even hear it.
There you go. Okay, yeah. Okay. Now we're definitely now we're officially live. Yeah, all that other stuff was us just screwing around really quick. But yeah, thanks everybody for showing up. You know, we're just kind of getting started here, just to kind of I don't know, get going here. Just do a couple little introductions. I am Joel from State 48 Exotics. Every Wednesday we try to do a little live stream here. We try to bring people together and spread out some great information for all of us rookies out there, like myself, and then essentially my co-host here, who I can pass the mic off to.
Hey
now.
guys, I'm Adam, Beach Bum Xotics co-host side here, and like Joel said, thank you everybody for showing up. And every Wednesday we seem to have a good crew, and we get to talk about reptiles and chat with each other. And you know, this community is amazing, and on this platform, it's good too. And we've got our special guest tonight. I'll turn it over to Justin.
Hey guys, Justin from Kobylka Reptiles, and I'm really honored to be joining. It's an awesome crew.
Yeah. Hopefully we're having a good night. Our second time. We have our first repeat. So there you go. That's always good, right? you are where you know. So that's good.
I had a great time last time. It was a really awesome time last time. So
yeah, that was really good. And if anybody hasn't checked that out yet, the video is in Adam's channel. His link and everybody else's links are in the description, so you can run over there and check that out. Because what's really cool tonight is, since we had that first interview, I feel like we kind of got not necessarily the boring stuff, but you know, kind of where you came from and how you got interested and stuff like that. And I feel like now today we kind of just like dive into some nitty gritties. So pretty excited about that.
Fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So that'll be really good.
I know everybody's dying to hear. Justin, how's Chase doing? And I know we talked a little before the stream, but you know, if you wouldn't mind letting everybody know.
Yeah, so I flew up there, and I just got home last night from spending a couple days with him ahead of the surgery. And his dad called me this afternoon and said that he's out of surgery and that the surgeon said that he did as well as could possibly be expected. So he was awake, he was moving, he wasn't, didn't have any. There's a little bit of paralyzation fear from removing the tumor and everything. So I'm not saying we're out of the woods. We'll probably know that in the next 24 to 48 hours. But the initial doctor's report was very positive, right. And I'm excited.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. Yeah. Man, that's. I mean, like we were saying, any surgery is pretty serious, and brain surgery has to be the most, you know. So that's great to hear that nothing went wrong there. I feel like it's a pretty sensitive area in your body. So, you know, kudos to the surgeon, and kudos to Chase for, you know, handling it.
Yeah, putting up the good fight and all that. And I mean, you know, this is one of probably additional surgeries that'll be coming down the line, and other things that he's going to have to be going through. So, I mean, our support's still needed, guys.
Yeah,
right? That's
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. He's going to have at least 3 months of chemo every day. That's what we know for sure. We're going to get some more information about it. But
right. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
and so
he'll handle it. What
was that?
Yeah, it's really cool too, seeing the community come together with the GoFundMe account. I mean, that's so amazing. I love seeing that. That number just keeps going up and up and up.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
The support that this community pulls together, dude, that means so much. Like, it's kind of heart touching, you know, when you read the comments of people and everything like that. It's hard not to get choked up, you know, seeing us all come together like that. So.
Yeah, you know, and Chase's family keep telling everybody thank you and telling me thank you and all that, and it means a lot. But what I keep telling them is like, this is an amazing experience that we get to have, which is being able to be a part of something and come through for somebody. And I mean, I wouldn't call it selfish, but it's something that I feel honored to be a part of in a big way. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%, man. And that's something I feel like, you don't get in a lot of other communities, or I haven't experienced in a lot of other communities. So it's really cool to see that. And it's not uncommon that I've noticed in a lot of like the US ARC auctions and stuff like that. I mean, some of the biggest donations are usually for individuals that are going through a hard time. So pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. So, I mean, the auction's still going on with Chase on Facebook, right? And so everybody check that out. There's some really cool snakes and other cool things being auctioned off up there, and all those proceeds go to help Chase and his recovery. So.
Well, just a little spoiler. Just a little spoiler. So our goal was 200,000, and we're really close. We hit 170 today.
Right.
So big, we're getting really close. And we've not nailed down the details of it, but as we get close to the end, go ahead and put a bug out there. I'm going to put an actual Batman up for an auction, just because the Chase connection with Batman.
Right.
So I want to go over the goal with an actual Batman. I think it'd be really awesome.
That would
that is rad. That would be really cool. Really cool. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you guys heard it. So, and that's going to be up on the Facebook auction, or are you going to do that on
auction?
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be there.
So there you go.
We got a great group of people there, really generous, amazing group of people there. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. Well, I guess to kind of segue off that Batman, the snake in general, you had some pretty cool clutches catch out this past week. There was that banana clutch that was pretty amazing. You want to talk about that really quick while we kind of get warmed up?
Sure. That's just one that I've been wanting to do that for a long time. As soon as I saw the Pompeii, I thought, man, that's going to translate really well into the Coral Glow. It's got all the right colors.
Oh yeah.
And then Chase already came up with the name. He's like, if you hit a Pompeii Coral Glow, you got to call it the Apocalypse.
Yes.
But I don't know if we really hit it. We got to think that it's really close to a Pompeii Coral Glow, but I think it might be missing probably one gene. I'm not sure, but But they're still absolutely, every one of them was just absolutely mind-blowingly amazing.
Oh my God! Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It blew my mind.
Yeah, incredible. And the video was extra special because I just gotten back from church and my kids were in the car with me. I'm like, we're running in here and we are going to cut this clutch right now. And you guys will be here for it. And they don't follow the snakes too much, but they get excited and they definitely know this is a special clutch. So it's cool to hear their voices. It was really cool to hear their voices on the background. They were so psyched about some of those colors.
Yeah, they were pumped. They were yelling with me.
Extra special.
Yeah, that was cool. That was pretty clutch.
So, hey, Justin, so with Coral Glow Banana, do you sometimes find it hard seeing combos in it? Like, I know myself, yeah, man. I mean, I love Coral Glow and Banana, but sometimes I really feel like it hides some of the stuff.
That's why, for Coral Glow and Banana with pattern mutations, because you can see them. Color mutations is tough. It's tough. Certain ones show really well. We found the red stripe works amazing with Coral Glow. And so that's why I'm so excited. Of course, we know black pastel works great with Coral Glow.
Right.
We have spot nose and yellow belly, which are both pattern mutations. So it's kind of the best of all worlds, which is why I'm so excited about it. But Coral Glow is tough, especially when you get pastel involved. It really it muddies the waters as far as your color palette, and it's hard to know what you're really looking at sometimes.
Right. And I even feel like fire is kind of the same way with Banana and Coral Glow, right? Like, it's hard to see.
It's going to lighten the color. It's just going to take some of the contrast that allows you to see what's in it and lessen it,
Right.
So you're more of a guess factor at that stage.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, maybe once we get going here a little bit, we can take a walk out to the shed, because I think you were telling us something about Yeah. All right. That'd be fun.
Yeah, so
I
the
think
first one shed tonight. The first, maybe another one now, but as of this afternoon, the first coral glow from the clutch is shed, and so I'd love to take you guys to show you that.
Oh, man.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
That's going to be a good one. Man, so this is fun, right? Baby season. We're getting our hatchlings now coming in. So
Right. Yeah, everything's
it's like farmers, man. The farmers in the harvest. You know, you wait all year just to see how you're gonna do.
Yeah, we're at harvest time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this time of year. And sooner or later, like those, your Instagram feed is just going to be ridiculous. Everybody's posting these insane combos, and you're just like, man, I don't know. It's cool. It's really cool. I love this time of year. It's starting to pick up.
yeah.
But I guess to talk about, some morphs like that, we had a message got sent in to talk about, maybe the differences with the Black Axanthic project and some of that stuff in the comparisons. I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty cool project. Looks like it's kind of, like the cleanest version, I guess. But yeah, anything you got?
So I'll give you my thoughts on it. This is my thoughts from somebody who I'm pretty much only in the Black Axanthic project. I have a couple other Axanthics, a couple that I hatched on accident.
Okay.
And then I have a VPI Axanthic clown. But mostly I have Black Axanthics. I worked with them from the beginning. I really just got sold on the project when Tracy made it and see how dark they were. The first few I got became really, really dark like that. Since then, I've made some really cool combos with them, but I just don't have enough Axanthics to know exactly how they vary. I've seen some get really dark, and I've seen some not get that dark.
Right.
But I would say overall, none of them really brown out. Really, I would say they are really good Axanthics, really good Axanthics for what they do. Some of them become amazingly black, and a lot of them just stay really nice silver their whole life.
Yeah. And that is a problem.
It's a cool project.
Yeah, they do get brown. A lot of those, some of those Axanthics really do kind of brown out as they age. So that's a big deal,
So if you're a real Axanthic connoisseur, I definitely recommend them. The only other, as far as an investment snake goes, the only caution I give is that anytime you have an investment snake that is way more expensive than similar looking snakes, you're going to have a little bit of a challenge on your hands because you're going to have to convince somebody at a show or on the internet or whatever, they should buy this snake that costs 10 times as much as this snake.
Yeah.
And they look the same right now, but this one will be better. That's a hard sell. I've sold plenty of them, but I think that when it comes down to that you have to make your case for it. It's a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
So we see the same thing with caramels and ultrametals sometimes, and some of those other projects, they're tough if you're trying to make that initial case for a morph.
Right. Yeah, that's huge.
So, Caramel, Ultramel, they're not compatible, right? We know they create the Camarillo when you breed those. So Black Axanthic, not compatible either, right?
So I've heard no. I've heard not compatible. And because all the other Axanthic lines seem to be incompatible, that would make sense.
Right.
I've heard several people say they've bred, Black Axanthics to at least VPI, maybe SK, I don't know, and not gotten Axanthics, but I've never done it myself.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's something to toss around. I
don't think anybody wants it, to be honest with you, because if you were to breed it and it's not compatible, which we assume it's not, then you're going to get a bunch of double heads that really, what are you going to do with those things?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
Right. What are you going to do? Because you're not going to know when you do double at what line of visual you're getting, or
right.
Double. I can imagine that's a nightmare. There's no reason to try it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
It would be a big wasted breed. That's for sure.
Yeah, at this point. It'd be interesting to tap into Dave and Tracy's brain to see maybe if they've done it. Because, I mean, you know them, just the scientists that they are. Like, I have to wonder if they've done it, right? Just to see.
Maybe they're the ones who did do it, and that's where we've gotten our information from. That
right.
They're not compatible. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, cool. I mean, I like that more. I've always like when I saw that melanistic ball python come out on Instagram a couple of years ago, that, you know, the really dark one. I think the
Right.
guy's in Asia, and the handle's just melanistic BP.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that thing, and then started researching a little more, and black axanthics were out, and, you know, seeing what they were doing, and they're kind of getting into those more melanistic tones overall for a really good example. Yeah, it's got some cool potential, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
the
are your
stuff's cool too.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind us asking, what's kind of like maybe like a 5 or 10 year goal with black axanthic that you have, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Sure. Well, for me, I'm just trying to mix it into the best codoms I can, you know, and just really, since I'm not really an axanthic guy per se, some people love axanthics. It's not so much me, but for me, I have like a leopard blackhead Mojave, double head black axanthic pie, I think, or something like that.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I want to put some crazy, you know, so my theory, I think we talked about this last time maybe, is that if you have a color morph, you throw patterns at it. If you have a pattern morph, you throw colors at it. You know,
Yeah.
and so axanthic is a completely just a color morph. And so, I mean, it's silver. What are you going to do? So let's throw crazy patterns at it. And that's absolutely what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
You're never going to get a red ball python out of an axanthic.
Right. Yeah, no matter what you do. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Was that a little bit of a drop on that red morph that was coming out?
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I consider that axanthic, but
No.
I know what you're saying, but no.
No, just joking on that one. Right on. Well, that's cool. I mean, man, we have a ton of questions coming in, and I was just kind of, I don't know, Joel, I was thinking last time you and I talked, tonight would just kind of be more like advanced level, kind of part 2 to the first one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to shoot for too.
All right. So, I mean, I watched yours and Miguel's video, Justin, the Q&A session that you guys had, and I thought that was really cool because you guys touched on some subjects that people, you know, kind of reserve back, and they really don't want to talk about it.
Great stuff.
Yeah, and so Joel, I don't want to steal your thunder because I know you were hit up with that one question with kind of the starting out deal. Did you want to ask Justin? Because I think that would be a good parlay into kind of getting deeper into some of this stuff.
Right, yeah, and yeah. So we had a question come in that was kind of along the lines of just kind of starting out as a first time keeper. You know, the way the market is right now with social media and stuff like that. Maybe the steps you take to, you know, build a following and build, I don't know, sort of like rapport and stuff like that in this community, because I feel like you were saying, people usually buy from you, not because of your snakes and stuff like that. So is there anything that, you know, you kind of maybe give us a fast track, maybe knock a year of learning experience off on that, something like that?
Well, I can tell you how I did it, but the reality is that this world has changed a lot since I did it. Since I got in and built a collection. So I've been thinking about that a lot lately, actually. In fact, I just recorded a video that I need to put out on YouTube, just talking about what it means to follow your own road. You know, to have this t-shirt, right?
That's
follow
awesome,
your own road. And like trying to figure out what that even means in a way. When I first made it, a lot of people were like, what does that mean? Like, you don't want people to make the same combos as you. But the longer it's been since I got the shirt, the more I think about it's not really about the combos. It's about being able to visualize something that you're bringing unique to the table.
Right.
So for me, following my own road early on was I came into the industry when it was all about reproducing the morph of the day. You know, reproducing.
Right.
What was it back then? I don't know. The GHI, lavender pie, whatever. You know, they all hit. They all skyrocketing huge. People bought them, bred them to a bunch of normals,
right?
And just basically how soon you could get in, right? How soon you could get in before the bottom dropped. So I came in and I know it's not just my idea. I know other people have done it too, but I came in and I recognized early on that that's not sustainable, that it's going to be combos. It's going to be the design, the art of it. You're going to have a deep collection because the current thing was not going to be, just couldn't continue forever.
Right.
You know, people had no trust in the market for that anymore.
Yeah.
So that was following my own road. It had nothing to do with what snakes I chose to breed. Now, I don't know, having not done it recently now, I don't know necessarily what I recommend somebody would do to get in.
Right.
But I do think that the business will likely change again, and in some way. And I don't even know. I'm constantly looking for that way because I don't want to be left behind.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
A lot of people got left behind when it changed last time, you know, and they didn't see it coming. And I don't know. I'm constantly watching the socials and watching what people are doing and just getting a feel for what's in, you know, where's it headed. So, but I think the long run, you just got to look at, you need a deep collection. You need to have flexibility in what you're doing, and what's it going to take to get to that? You know? Right.
And so by deep collection, do you mean vast amount of like solid genes that you can kind of put things together and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, deep in the sense that you can't be stuck into one corner, so that if something changes and you see that there's a real opportunity in an area that you don't have the ability to get there because you don't have anything in that realm.
Right.
So, and I think it's, in a way, it's easier than ever because you can buy multi-combos. You don't have to buy one of every gene. But getting the girls on the shelf, getting solid mutations that don't put you into a corner, that don't limit you. We talked a lot about the genes that you can't double up, you know, like fire and some of those, you know, genes that make white snakes, and just being cognizant of all that, kind of orchestrating your collection. I can't tell someone else how to do that, but there's a lot of just gut in there.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like just paying attention too, like really being involved in the industry, and it'll kind of come to you.
Yeah. You got to, what I always do is I sit in my snake room, and especially when I'm looking at my pairings, I'm thinking, how is this going to play out? You know, if I get what I want, what will I do next? If I get that, what will I do next? And if I start seeing that in my imagination of what could happen, if I start seeing my options narrowing, then I know I'm on the wrong path.
Right.
You know, if I start seeing where, hey, I'm going to get to a spot where I can't do anything else, well, I don't need to go that direction then. I need to go a direction where there's infinite possibility. And I think that's what a lot of people just need to do more of, is sit there and think through it. Really think through permeations of what the decisions they're making now. It's not about this year. It's about the years that follow this year and the years after that.
Yeah.
Foresight.
I think that's really sound. Yeah, foresight and sound advice. You know, I mean, especially with what we have available for us today, like you're saying, you know, even you just rewind like 6 to 8 years ago, and the selection for getting multi-comboed females in like a het recessive form would have been nearly impossible, or such an investment that like somebody trying to get their feet wet and might not have felt comfortable kind of jumping in with, you know. And then other aspects that I know we've talked about kind of starting out too, which I think are really important, you know, like the social media aspect now is really important, right?
Right.
Whereas a little while ago, you know, you could really survive without that and just dumping some ads on King Snake or whatever, you know.
Right. None of us would be where we are without social media. It's changed everything. Completely.
Yeah.
Completely. You know, the reality is that no one knows how to find you. There's no central, I mean, there's Morph Market, but there's social media is what basically gives you connections with people that are more than just one sale, you know, more than just, I want that snake and bought that snake.
Right.
So it changed everything. It really did.
Yeah. And would you say that there's is there maybe a social media outlet that if somebody couldn't devote their time to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, that you would choose over anything else as more, let's say, relevant or important?
Well, not everybody's going to be able to do everything. There's certain personalities that go better with different socials, right? But I think just to scale them based on how valuable I think they are, it'd be YouTube number one. Instagram would be number two.
Right.
Facebook's just too much of a mess. It's hard, you know. It's really hard to get noticed on Facebook.
Yeah.
But YouTube is number one because, you know, people are influenced by having conversations with other people, you know, either in person. But the thing is, you can't scale in-person conversations. You can scale YouTube, right? Yeah. So that's the
absolutely
big thing. And if you, not everybody has the personality for YouTube. To be honest with you, I probably don't even have the personality for YouTube. but I'm good at faking it. I can get in front of a camera for
and that doesn't suggest from your following you have on YouTube. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Well, it's the snake. It's the snakes that are responsible for that.
The snakes are doing the talking.
Yeah, and I try to keep them on camera mostly. But it's huge. It's really huge. So.
Well, I think you're a good-looking guy, Justin. So you're doing all right. You know.
The thing is, too, you can't really fake YouTube. You know, you can fake on Instagram, right? You can can take good pictures in a little light box. You know. And
with a decent camera.
Their house and their lives could be an absolute wreck all around it, but you never know. Right? You never know what they don't know or how unprofessional they are, etc. But on YouTube, you cannot fake it for long. People will see, people will see what you're made out of, what your personality is, how you keep your animals. It'll either you get called out or it'll destroy you, one or the other.
Right. I completely agree with that. Eventually, you're going to fade out in that arena.
Right. Which is why I love YouTube, because those people who are professional, you can come on there and you could actually stand out. Most of the media it's easy to get lost in the crowd.
Yeah. That makes sense. I agree. Yeah,
and and too, I like that, like with YouTube, like there's different formats, right? Like there's kind of, you can produce content that's like kind of educational, where you're talking about things, right? Or there's the entertainment style where, it's not maybe just information being pumped at you. It's a little more entertainment, and you can find your niche in that, right? And that's what's fun about it, because it's all got a place. And I love what Chase has brought to your channel, man. I mean, like I loved your videos before, and then when he started getting involved too, it was like his personality got stamped on that real quick, and that was cool.
The thing is that he'll tell you that I joke around and cut up more than him, probably, or every bit as much as him, but I can't be serious. Like, you put a camera in front of me and I can't be serious. I can't act. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I'm either a total goofball or I'm serious. I can't just sit there and act serious and do something off the wall. I just can't do it. He's perfect at that. So I'm always like coming up with these amazing ideas. I'm like, all right, Chase, this is you, man. This is for you. You're gonna nail it.
Yeah, he killed it. Yeah.
Really nice. It's nice to have him for that, because we would not have that without him.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He offered that nice new flavor. And so, I mean, that just goes to show, right? Like, yeah, everybody's got their little deal. You find what you're good at and rock that, right? Like, that's the important part. Yeah, definitely. Oh, man. And we're getting just dumped with questions here.
Questions. Yeah, I see.
I know. Yeah, we're getting tons and tons of them. I want to kind of rewind and do these maybe in a little bit.
Yeah, I figure we'll save like the last maybe 30-20 minutes for doing some questions for everybody. I've been kind of writing them down as they go along, trying to keep up. But everybody sticks around till that 7 o'clock mark. We can really, I feel like, dive into some good questions on that too, just so we don't try to miss anybody, because it does get kind of hard keeping up with the chat. And then we're delayed also, just as a heads up, we are delayed from when we see you or us talk about it and then us seeing it on the chat, so that makes it tough too.
Yeah. And hey, Joel, just to let you know, Mrs. Beach Bum set up that Hangouts with us, and she's dumping those questions in there, so if you didn't want to distract yourself by writing them down, they're available.
There we go. Yeah, okay, I got it.
And so the parlay on kind of like what we were talking about, you know, kind of getting started for somebody new, like how do they get known and all of that. Serpentech Labs asked a good question, and they wanted to know, can you talk about some of the key pairings you did at the start of your career that really set you up for success in the future? Like,
yeah. So initially, my big investments were the recessives. So I bought a clown female from Brian Barczyk. Best investment I ever made. Paid $8,000 for her. I've never bought a ball python that has done more for me than that one. Then I bought a pied female, and then I bought a lavender albino male. My first 3 big purchases. The lavender was like 22,000, I think, or something like that.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So initially,
you were buying visual.
I had very little I could do. Remember back then, combos were very rare. There was, I think, it was right as I was buying those, the first Bumblebee came out, and so nobody was. I wouldn't say nobody, but everybody was thinking about how do we make more of what we have. You know, how do we make more lavenders? Because there's massive demand for lavenders. There's massive demand for clowns and pieds, and no one was thinking about, well, we got to put all these other genes in those things. No, they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about how can we meet this demand? These things are so expensive. People are burning down our doors to get them, and we can never get enough. And so initially, that was even my goal. You know, initially I took my lavender male and I just made heads. But guess what? When my clown female got up to size, I didn't breed her to a clown. I bred her to the lavender. And I thought, hey, Grail, that sounds cool. I didn't think Grail. I thought lavender clown, that sounds cool.
Right.
And at the time, here's I think was maybe the biggest factor is because I was fresh out of college. Aside from college debt, I had no expenses. You know, I had no kids. We had a tiny little starter home. We're living in Tacoma, Georgia. The cost of living is $0 essentially.
Right.
And literally, I needed to sell like 2 ball pythons a month, and I'd be fine. And so I had all this time to think about what I wanted to do, not how do I pay the bills. I was never thinking about how to pay the bills really. I had to pay my uncle back. My uncle was the one who bought all these animals for me. I paid him back. But essentially, every month, every year, I could just take and say, okay, I'm going to have these clutches that'll make some money. But these are all the stuff I just want to do, you know, because I think it might be cool down the road or whatever. And that was kind of the start of thinking about this a little different. Thinking about, hey, I can make 4 clowns and sell them for, you know, $6,000 each and make, you know, that's good money. Make 24,000. Or I can breed these double heads and then suddenly I'm on my own project in my own sphere, and I could think about something that's never been seen, and that excited me a lot more than making a bunch of clowns, which I already had.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the main keys for any business is you have to have that low expense in the place where you can try things and not lose your butt because you're forced into something with some high bills or whatever.
Right. Yeah, because that helps clear your mind too, so you can innovate. It's not specifically. Yeah. And then you can, because of that innovation, you're finding a niche too, and that niche you're the best at, so that helps too.
Yeah.
Right. So you got the ball rolling, but that's part of it. And at the time, you know, people were working on this comic, but no one talked about them. So, you know, I had that clown female. That's why I said she did so well for me, because I bred to the lavender albino first year, a firefly the next year, a pastel leopard the next year, a pastel spot nose the next year, and I just got combos after combos and combos with het clown that nobody's even really thinking about. Even I didn't know what they looked like. I knew that it was going to turn into something. I just knew it was. Yeah. At the same time, a lot of my competition, most of which aren't around anymore, were just making tons of money. They were making clowns. Next year, maybe more clowns. Next year, maybe more clowns. And they were making tons of money, but they weren't building anything. Yeah. You know, every year those clowns sell for a little bit less, and they'd have to make more of them to make the same amount. And I didn't want to be on that treadmill. Yeah, that treadmill runs out.
Right.
So that's what I'm always asking myself now is what is today's treadmill, and what do I need? You know, what do I need to get off of? Because we all kind of know now that we need to go for this crazy stuff, and the whole paradigm's changed. And what's the next thing that you need to look forward to and think about?
Right, right. Yeah. What's the newer direction? So you're always on top, basically, or not necessarily on top as like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of sounds like negative, but just always ahead, moving forward, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be irrelevant, put it that way. But
Right.
I definitely want to always be doing something that matters.
Yeah, yeah. That's why this is a fun hobby, though, because I don't know if I can't understand how there could be a limit to how far you can go with these combos and stuff like that. It's insane, insane.
I don't see it. I just don't.
Yeah, yeah. Especially with like the recessive stuff. I mean, there's a vast valley there to jump into.
There's very limiting odds. There's very limiting odds there to fight against.
Yeah.
To bang up against for a long time before you get any traction.
Right.
Makes it super exciting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I guess to kind of jump on that a little bit, I had a question come in that was kind of interesting. It was talking about, what could you maybe say to those people that are ball python rich, that maybe have a lot of snakes and they have a really good product and stuff like that, but they're having a tough time maybe selling. I don't know if you maybe some keys to move forward and get something going.
You have to use the skills, and you have to get past the feeling that, a lot of people who are ball python rich are doing really, really interesting stuff and everything. Sometimes it's easy to get into this mentality of I've got to keep this secret, or what I'm doing,
right.
That sort of thing. The secretive, us versus them, and that I can see the appeal of that. I've been there. I've felt that way before. But at the same time, you are hurting yourself more than you're hurting anyone else, really. Because this whole community is built around sharing. It's built around convincing other people that your ideas are good and therefore they should buy into your ideas. Hopefully you have animals for sale that show your ideas. And so therefore, when you bring them along for the journey, the relationships are gained. And that's the one thing I would suggest to people. There's a lot of people who are ball python rich and still struggling. It's not about not really about the animals you have in a lot of ways.
Right. And that's an interesting thing, though, to talk about, because I know a lot of people try to, keep the secrets and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of times, like, the secrets are like really cool and that you can build on that. And then people will come for that to see it. And then you're getting like a base of following around that. And that can't not help, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Well, the reality is that you'll never, I think we talked about this a little bit in the blog with Miguel, is that you'll never sell to someone who doesn't know who you are. You'll never sell a ball python to somebody who doesn't know who you are. And they've got to know you well enough that they trust you, especially in the age of heterozygous animals that we're in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and the reality is that for most animals I make, they're available somewhere else too. But want the peace of mind of knowing they're buying from somebody who they see every day. They know how to find you.
Right.
They know where you're at in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that means a lot.
Yeah, and that is a big help with like YouTube like that, because that keeps authenticity in it, and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And you touched on a really important part, right? I know when I first started getting interested in reptiles and kind of like the investment side of reptiles, like the number one concern was, if you're buying hats, make sure you know who you're buying from, right? And so I got scared, it was like one of those things you can't see, right? And I don't really know a lot of these guys I'm looking at their stuff with. And so I felt comfortable with the people that I actually knew. And those were the only people I was buying recessive or hats from,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and for the most part, people, if they have visuals of what they're selling hats for, you can feel pretty confident about it. People don't usually, it used to be that pieds were, 25 grand or whatever.
Right.
So if someone is selling hat for pieds and they had a pied, no one's gonna spend 25 grand on a pied just to sell fake hats.
Right.
But nowadays, recessives themselves are not that expensive, so you really can't use that same logic the same way anymore.
Right.
In a way.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Craigslist. Number one tip: stay off Craigslist.
Yeah. Absolutely. I got burned on Craigslist when I very first did this like 4 or 5 years ago. That was like my first, I was like, oh, cool. The snake's so cool. A het, a quad het, blah, blah, blah. It was just a spider.
If you find a good deal, it's probably, the animals aren't well cared for a lot of times and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but boy, that's a rough
Well, I love getting hit up by my mom that says, "Hey, here's this corn snake on Craigslist. Do you want me to buy it for you?" I'm like, no, mom, don't buy the corn snake on Craigslist, please.
I love mom.
I love mom.
We'll have that mom, I think.
Yeah, my mom would never ask me to do that. That's for sure.
Cusco said Joel bought fake hats from
Yeah, we'll find out this year, man. We'll find out. We'll see if those hats prove out from Cusco.
I love the honesty, though. He's already saying they're. Oh, that's funny.
Wow.
That is pretty good.
Wow.
So speaking about, recessives and when you first started, you were really looking at like double recessives as something you wanted to go into. And Will, our good buddy up north, asked a really good question of, how do you manage like a triple recessive project these days? Like, what's kind of your strategy, right? Jumping into a triple recessive.
Sure. So my strategy is to hit it from all angles, but I really don't do triple head to triple head. That's lottery numbers. I don't want those.
Right.
So for example, I'll run it. I put it this way: I'll run it for an extra 2 years to get what I want in order to not have to do the 1 in 64.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of. So a great scenario. This is how I ran my Holy Grail project, which is the lavender clown pied. Okay. So I had a dreamsicle and I had a clown that was possible at lavender. Okay. So I bred the dreamsicle to a clown that's possible at lavender. Got lavenders that are double head. I stay away from that whole triple head thing, Or if I have a triple head, I'm always trying. You need at least one visual in there. It's the only way to run it. So sometimes it's better just to take the extra year, so it's visual on one side, double head, whatever. And then every year, I'm always looking at how can I even those odds. I'm not looking at. I'm always trying to hit the odds, but how can I make the odds a little bit better to where it's inevitable? I want to get down to 116, 1 in 8.
Yeah, where you're doing maybe a double visual.
And that's how it's going to be. Right. But there's no point in just banging your head against the wall and doing triple head to triple head year after year. You need to start to refine it.
And that's tough too with the offspring, because then you're left with 66% triple heads, and
you're holding back a lot, and they're not going to be very easy to sell either.
Right.
You're going to have a lot of byproduct that's not highly valuable if you do that.
Yeah, and that makes it tough. Yeah, I've really been considering that, like moving forward with like the clown pied stuff and things like that, like, adding in hypo and stuff like that, and then how to like get there, and I've really been looking at like just starting with a hypo pied and then, a clown. So like there's always like the base stuff like that, or, a clown pied.
Hypo pied and start with the clown that's het pied.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
you got to do something to skip that, jump that,
Yeah, jump that bridge.
Right, one or the other, but you're jumping a whole 3 years by spending a little bit extra on that animal.
Right. Yeah, and that's been kind of my like future, because I had that, from the snakes I had purchased from you, the double heads. I got that fire clown pied this year. So my kind of plan is to get the hypo pied and then breed those together. So I'll get all pieds with the double head.
Yes. Right. See, that's the only way to really run it well, is to do it that way.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Really, I think that is like the best way to do it. It's still, and that's still a tough breeding with 1 in 16s after that.
Way better though.
Is way better.
Every time you add a visual, you cut the odds in half.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Much better.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. So I thought another interesting thing with that video you had with Miguel too was talking about investments and the differences of investments. I feel like that word kind of brings some negative approach to it and stuff like that. But you were talking, you know, it's not necessarily always a monetary investment. It's your time investment. It's fun. It's, you know, there's so much more to it outside of the funds and stuff like that. Anything you want to touch on that?
Yeah, for sure. So I got uncomfortable with the term investment for a while myself, to be honest with you, because we were kind of in that zone for a while where we hadn't really shifted paradigms, and people were still thinking that they could buy a couple snakes in millions. You know, they didn't realize that it is a long marathon. You know, it's not a sprint.
Right.
And so people would call me, Justin, I want to buy these snakes. I want to be in the business. I want to do this. I want to make all this money. And I'm placed in the situation where I'm like, oh, do I tell them there's no chance that pair is ever going to do anything for them? Do I sell them the snakes? Do I try to bring them the idea they can make money, or, you know, and even though I don't think I totally think somebody can make money, but I can spend about 5 minutes on the phone with somebody and have a pretty good indication, I think, of whether they're going to be successful with it. But what's changed, and this is why I feel much more comfortable with it now, is what's changed is people in general have a much more realistic expectation now. Much more realistic.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel so much more comfortable, because I don't feel like I'm selling them a bill of goods or anything, because I want everybody to have a decent understanding of what it will take. And that's why I wanted to go into the video with Miguel. When it comes to doing this full time as a business, they need to know that it's going to take a life commitment,
right?
Financially, and it's me a big commitment financially, and it's also going to be a massive commitment to your time, and it's going to require you to be a certain person, maybe not a person that you don't necessarily you are right now, and that's true for any business. But nowadays we have so many who legitimately are getting in because they love the animals, because they're investing for other reasons, like we talked about. They're investing in their time and an amazing experience for themselves. They're investing in family, and that is an investment that I love being a part of, because I know they're going to succeed at it.
Right.
I know the animals are capable of doing that for them, because the animals are amazing.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So I feel much better about the industry now than I did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because I feel like I can be really upfront and honest with people, and there's not a bunch of other people out there kind of selling them on a dream that's not likely to happen.
Right.
So
yeah,
if you want to be a Silicon Valley tycoon, you know, you're not going to do it by buying a couple computers. You know,
no, you're not.
It's going to require something really special. It's not really different from our business too. If you're going to get to the top, it's going to require something very special, situation. So,
and that's actually that's a good comparison, right? The Silicon Valley, for sure, because I mean, time has come and passed with the easy investment, easy money making from there, and so now, right, you have to work hard, multi-level type of branding, working, all of that going on at the same time. So,
or you have to reimagine it and follow your own road, right? You have to imagine something that has not yet been done, and then prove it to be true,
right?
Which is also very hard, but that's the only way you're going to get in and do well with a minimal amount of investment.
Well, I think that goes to touch on what you were saying earlier, is investing in yourself. While everybody else was selling, you know, the clowns year after year after year, you were pushing double hets and combos, and you were foregoing, I feel like, the instant gratification for where you are now, arguably. You know, I mean, I feel like that was your foundation. Now here you are, and you're like
if you pay it forward enough, after a while, if you pay it forward enough, after a while, it's inevitable. And that's what I always felt about it, is that when you get to that point where I'm always paying it forward, I try to keep that mentality now. Even now, I'm trying to think, I can go for what's obvious and what's going to do amazing, but how can I imagine something that hasn't been imagined yet? So.
Yeah, and you have a heck of a facility to do that. I feel like it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory over there. There's so much going on, you know. It's so cool.
There is, yeah.
Totally. Hey, you know, we had
you guys want to go out and see that animal real quick?
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
Let's go out and check it out. I'm here.
And this is the banana clutch, correct?
Yeah. So this is the banana Pompeii clutch.
Yeah.
It's off my finger. It's so loud. There we go.
Dude, this is going to be sick. While you're walking out there, I think, we had a good question from Derek kind of come in. And something I think kind of fun to talk about. So with people starting out, since we've kind of been focusing on that recently, what do you think the value is in doing expos, shows, etc. when starting off? Or do you think you can kind of substitute social media for that,
Yeah, social. I think social is the better investment. Shows are great, but I think shows, they provide the biggest reward after you've built the social media side of it.
Right.
The reality is you can meet more people on a weekend on Instagram and YouTube than you ever could meet at a show. And you can do it every weekend without leaving your house. So that right tells you everything you need to know. So I did a few shows early on. I did Daytona for like the first 4 years I was in it, and I never once did a good show. Not once. It was terrible. I mean, I had a good experience, but I had a bad show. I never had a good show financially. But so I gave up on it. But now, whenever I go to any show, it's a great show because the people there, Ooh, another one should. Okay, check this out, guys.
Oh man, we got you.
Okay, so this is just, if I can flip this. I forgot to flip the camera here. There we go. Look at this.
Oh man.
All right. So we got 3 to shed now. Check that out. So that's the hat.
All right, froze on us.
Yep.
Oh, did it?
Hold on, just keep the camera still if you can, and it should jump.
It'll rebuff itself.
Oh.
Why?
Hey Joel, focus on Justin's.
Yeah, I have him clicked on right now, so it's just showing him.
Let me see.
Is it not working?
It's buffering in and out, like you keep dropping in and out.
Can you bring the tub to the office you're in?
Yeah. I don't know why that is though, because it shouldn't be different out there.
Right. Yeah, that's weird. It's just lucky, I guess.
Yeah. Murphy. Damn it, Murphy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's not meant to be. It's so strange. They look good though. I'm gonna tease you guys about it.
Well, pixely, they look really good too. If that helps. Yeah, that's a bummer. I don't know why it's not working. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there.
I blame Cusco. It's normally his fault.
I definitely. What is it, Cusco?
That's so strange.
You know what? The new facility, if you don't have like 5G Wi-Fi in there, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed.
Well, I'll be closer to a big city, so that'll help.
Right. I tell you.
These snake breeders these days.
I know it.
Oh man. Well, I saw very, very corally banana colored snakes. Thank you.
Did you?
Yeah. For a second, we got like the smallest glimpse there for a second.
You want me to hang up and rejoin?
I don't know if it'll help.
And Cusco wants to know if one of those is for him.
Yeah.
I don't know, Cusco. Why don't you call me? We'll talk some numbers.
Yeah, bring the wallet, man.
I don't know. I get awful attached to things. I really I hate to sell things too quick. I don't enjoy it for a little while. Maybe a few weeks at least.
Yeah, and that's I feel like a good point too, is knowing when do you hold things back and when do you sell forward.
Yeah, that's one of those things you're never gonna necessarily ever be great at. You're gonna it's always a learning process. It's mostly based on intuition.
Right. And that goes, I feel like, with the general theme of just being very involved and knowing what's going on.
Yeah. And I don't always make the right decision on that either. A lot of times I'll hold on to an animal only to sell it as an adult, and I never should have kept it in the first place. But
Right.
But you have some winners and some losers, and that's part of it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Well, we're hitting that hour mark. I feel like we could maybe dive into the chat questions a little bit. So we get that rolling. I know a lot of people are pretty excited for that.
Okay.
Everybody's been hanging in with us. Let's see.
I've got a ton from, if you want to ask them, Joel, are you getting those on Hangouts? Yeah.
I don't have the chat, so I'm just going to defer to you for.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, we've got some. All right, let's just jump kind of left field over here, away from kind of how we've been going so far, and we've got some questions around some morphs and other things. Let's see. Scrolling up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, John Keeley is saying just don't sell them to Miguel.
What do you mean, Miguel's awesome? Come on. So I know. Zane Wagner, ZDC Reptiles, was asking when the red stripe puzzle's coming, and I can answer that one for you, Justin, since you have your confusion hat, red stripe hat coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She just ovulated, so 50 days to eggs, 110 until they hatch.
Right. You posted that on Instagram, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing that and just being like, I was just like, okay, well, I'm done with the internet today after seeing that.
Right. Yeah.
That's going to be so cool.
Well, the odds are going to either going to love me or hate me on that one, but I'm just excited to be playing the game.
Yeah, I can respect that.
Exactly. So, talking about your ovulation, DS Balls and Exotics asked, do you think handling females for cleaning, etc., affects follicle growth at all? So, have you noticed maybe things like that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think generally speaking, there's concern. I probably wouldn't overdo it, but standard maintenance of the animal they need. I don't mess much once they've had the prelay shed. I just kind of leave them in their tub at that point. At that point, what are you gonna do? I mean, they're gravid, they're gonna lay, and they really don't poop during that time, and they don't eat. And
right.
You kind of just let them be. But I think the only thing I've ever had go wrong is I've had an employee once who dropped a gravid female.
Oh.
Actually, he was cleaning the tub and he set her on the cart next to him, and she just crawled off. They don't have the greatest control at that.
Right.
When they're that big, when they're real heavy with eggs. So she fell, I don't know, 3 feet, something almost nothing, but every egg inside her was just toast. Shattered.
No.
So that's the only thing I know that really didn't work. And as far as during follicle development, I don't think it's a major factor.
Right. So interesting. So in the female drop, so the eggs, they came out all slugs, or what happened?
No, the eggs, when they candled them, there was just blood, bloody masses inside. There's no veins. They had the veins that had been detached from the walls. And
so they scrambled.
Right, essentially.
Yeah.
That impact just did it to them.
Wow, interesting. Huh.
Yeah, that's crazy. Be very careful.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Be careful, right? I would have to say, I know, if a female is overly stressed, she's not going to develop those follicles to full term and produce eggs and everything. So I guess kind of the flip side to that question would be, your females to the point where they're so stressed out, they're not going to want to do anything for you.
Right. Yeah. This is a within reason, I feel like, approach.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, I have found that sometimes females will kind of stall out and they'll sit at one follicle size, like 2.0, for like a month and not change at all. I found that that moving them around a little bit to new tubs and, you know, fresh cleaning their tub, changing their environment is sometimes what works to get them
maybe
moving along on their development. So it's one of the things. I don't think you want to bother them, but at the same time, you can kind of tell when, hey, things aren't going like they probably ought to go, and then, you know, that would, you know, at that point you look at changing something.
Right.
There you go. Yeah. All right, and so some other things. Here we go. Here's kind of a controversial topic that I think might be kind of fun to discuss with you, Justin. So scaleless head ball pythons. What's your take on them? Are you working with them, or?
Yeah, I have 2 scaleless heads in my collection, both males.
Yeah.
Neither which I'm breeding right now.
Gotcha.
That doesn't mean I don't like them. I think they're a cool project. It's starting to kind of like the whole own road thing. It's just not something I want to do, really personally.
Yeah.
And I always, you know, when I first initially thought about the project, I almost bought in with one of the original scaleless head males for like 50 grand from Will Bankster. He was really close to selling me one of those. And I just started thinking, you know, like, I think they have limited appeal in the same way that corn snakes have scaleless corns have a limited appeal.
Right.
They're really, really cool to people who know corn snakes, and everybody wants to have one, but they don't want a whole collection of them, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And in the end, I'd rather put my money on animals that people want their whole collection to have that morph in it. Like, I want every snake I have to have orange dream. You know, I do.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
one snake I would do better without orange dream.
Yeah.
That's the snake I put my money on, you know, and I just couldn't say the same for the scaleless in the end. Of course, there's questions swirling about their viability, which I think those have mostly been answered, and I'm not worried about that. But those questions definitely highly affected the market on them for a while.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a dramatic hit, I feel like.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Well, cool. Yeah, because I mean, I know myself, like you said, I think it's interesting. It's just not really some place that I've wanted to go very much, you know. And I do have a few friends working with them, so I know, like, all right, if I want to try a project, that they would be willing probably to partner with me doing something, and, you know, I could test the waters that way. But yeah, I just hadn't really wanted to convert my collection to that side yet.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
it's about where you put your resources and what you want long term. And we were talking earlier about thinking about multiple generations in advance, and I just couldn't get excited about more and more of my snakes not having scales.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so, oh, go ahead.
So I was going to say, kind of talking about that, I feel like the scaleless is a little different. We had Cusco ask for, are you ever considering branching out into other species or anything like that? You know, I feel like you do have a couple different ones, but I didn't know if you saw a market for it.
Riley was saying you should get in the carpet python. So, you know.
Yeah. You know, I just got a pair of Bolines from Kevin and Nerd.
Right.
And I'm so happy with them. I one of those, like, geeking out over snake purchases. It's just one of those things that had nothing to do with investment, really.
Right.
It's just something you want.
They're so cool. Yeah, they are so freaking cool, incredible. So their personality is just wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I bet. And that's pretty cool. You know, you can see some differences between these species of snakes. I feel like the average person would just assume a snake's a snake, and it just isn't. That's for sure.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
They
have the best personalities. They seem like, you know, the way the retics seem more intelligent than other snakes in a way.
Yeah.
They seem more intelligent. Well, Bolines are that way to the max, in my opinion. Like, they just seem so thoughtful, and they don't seem reactionary to anything. They just seem like in any situation, they're just assessing the situation. And that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really neat to see. It makes it feel like you're dealing with something that you can understand, and they might understand you a little bit.
Right. Build a relationship with. Yeah. That's always nice.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of the fun thing, like Joel, you were kind of commenting, a lot of people look at snakes and they're like, oh, all snakes are the same, you know, they're only meant to kill me and hurt me. So like, once you really get into it, holy cow, like the different species really do behave quite differently. And there's almost like, you know, there's completely different experiences being had with each different species. And
yeah.
you know, and that kind of goes into the whole comment, like you said earlier, and maybe something I'd like to ask you. So you got these Bullens. Are you planning on like breeding them and doing something with them? Or are these mainly going to be pets?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I think so. I don't foresee it as being like a big part of my business or anything, but I definitely would love to breed them. And, you know, for those of us who are, I say breeders, I don't know, there's something that's so special about reproducing.
Right.
Yeah.
Something that you love. You know, that's basically why you have kids, I guess. You
know? Yeah.
But yeah, so I would love to. In fact, the new facility I'm building now is going to have like a dedicated, what I'm calling a project room. Will just be all the fun animals that I've always wanted to have. But I've gotten so deep into ball pythons that for years, I kind of just said no to everything because I wanted to be the best at what I'm doing. And so now I feel like, I'd love to just go out there and get some of that, you know, like literally geeking out over a new species and learning something, because kind of the learning aspect in a way to me is a little bit been lost just recently with the ball pythons. So I feel like I got a pretty good handle on them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Learning is fun, man. That's part of it. That's so fun. Yeah. I love it.
And like you said, like that accomplishment of reproducing the animal, I mean, it's almost like it's solidifying the husbandry techniques that you have been doing, right? Like you know, you're mastering that, and bam, you went through the whole process, right? And I know for myself, like that was one of my very first initial drives with even breeding ball pythons. I just wanted to know I could do it, right? Like I can make sure this animal is healthy, living fine, and they're going to reproduce for me. Wow, like that completes it, you know?
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, that's such cool.
I feel like the longer I've done this, the less I've lost the formula. Like when I first started breeding ball pythons, I could give you a formula. Here's what you do. You know, keep it at this temperature, you drop it this time of month. Now, if you ask me how to breed a ball python, I'd be like, well, you just kind of feel for it, observe them, and like nowadays, I feel like every day when I look at the snakes, I'm thinking, oh, that's unique. I've not seen that in a while. I remember I saw that 5 years ago, and that's how that turned out. So I wonder if they'll have the same. And it's always just now it's just very nebulous in my mind, but it's just very few surprises out there.
Right. Knowing your animals. I feel like that's a good piece of advice.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, hey, when you're starting into new species, Justin, I don't know what's one of the first research things you do. You know, do you go out and speak to breeders that are kind of working with those snakes, or what do you do?
Honestly, I don't do a lot of research. Maybe that's probably terrible advice.
There it is. You heard it here first.
It's funny, I bought these snakes from Kevin. Kevin was fantastic. I mean, probably the first thing I've ever bought from him directly, and he was fantastic about giving me all this information. But I found myself in my head just thinking, okay, no, don't tell me too much. I want to just find out by doing, and that's kind of what I've learned with the ball pythons is you kind of just you get in there and you start to figure out, okay, that's not working. What do I do? And that's how I like to learn.
Trial and error.
And then when I run into a problem, I'll absolutely seek advice, or if I run into something I'm not sure of the answer, but I want to come up with the questions on my own. I don't want to come up with I don't want to just start getting answers without having the questions. Those answers don't stick with me if I don't have the questions first.
Yeah, and that makes sense. You know, working for something.
Yeah. So with the Bolines, you know, he told me how to set them up initially, but like every day I'm just looking at them, observing them. You know, I'm having to scent their meals with quail for the first few meals.
Right.
And he told me there's no way it's going to eat a rat without you sending it with the quail. But that doesn't mean I didn't try. I went in there and took a little mouse, held it up there. I wanted to see it refuse that mouse. I wasn't gonna just do it, you know. And that's just how I think everybody would be well served to kind of learn by doing a little bit. And we ended up rubbing it in the quail, and it took it right away. He was absolutely right, but I felt vindicated by trying it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, right? Like, I mean, you saw that like actually take place instead of just taking somebody's word. I mean, Kevin's word is probably one of the best words you could take in these things, right? But you know, I mean, and yeah, like Cusco is saying, like experience is the best teacher, and that's in life in general, right? Don't be afraid to experience things or test them up, you know.
Pay your tuition, man. Pay it. Life tuition.
Well, that's one of the things I think you learn in life as you get older is there's an expectation that people who have been doing it longer than you, that they haven't figured out. But then when you get to be an adult, you realize that, hey, they're just doing whatever they want every day anyway. They're just guessing, they're feeling they're blind as I am. And once you realize that, well, maybe if I just start putting my own intuition and my own spin on things, then I'll have a chance to discover something that's different than what everybody else has. And that's more valuable than just following the cookie cutter of what you see people doing and what people tell you to do.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And in that way, you add value as well. And I feel like that's fulfilling.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I mean, we've got some good questions that have come in. Let's see. I'm trying to scan through. Did either of you see something?
I got. I wanted somebody wanted to ask about what do you think the strength of the puzzle gene is in comparison to I feel like some of the heavier hitters like clowns and pies, stuff like that. Do you think it has a think it has a solid foundation kind of moving forward, or you know, what do you see with it?
I think it's great. I don't think it's going to ever be on the same level as the kind of the tried and true.
Right.
And it's not a knock. I don't knock anymore. I think they're all great. I just
absolutely.
Different table. It's not their fault if they're not good at something else. You know,
right.
It's our job to find ways to make them better. But no, I just don't think puzzle, as cool as it is, I just don't think it's that strong a pattern mutation. And there's a lot of other really strong pattern mutations for it to compete with. And it has the disadvantage of being recessive.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's worth it, because I totally think it's worth dealing with. And I totally think there's plenty of money in it and opportunity and all that.
Yeah,
I totally do.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I use as my kind of my yardstick on it, I guess, is whether or not the general public would be absolutely wowed by it. And when I put a pied and a puzzle and a clown next to each other, I just don't think it can stand up to the other ones, to the average general public's eye.
Yep.
And that, to me, that's another one. Going back to when I began, that was one of the number one things that really helped me. Is my uncle, who was investing in these animals initially, he refused to invest in anything that he didn't think was pretty.
Right.
And he had no idea what things are worth, and he had no idea what was special and what was not. But he's like, "I'll get you a lavender, I'll get you a clown, I'll get you a pied." But then I'm like, "Hey, you should get these fires. They're $100,000 for a pair. You get these fireball pythons." He was not touching that. He had no interest in that. You know, he had no interest in a yellow, but 15,000. No, you know, and he saved me. Who knows how much he saved me by just having that attitude. And so now I've learned to always ask that question when I'm looking at stuff: is what does the average person think? And what's it going to take this more from where it's at to somewhere where the average person would wow.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a kind of a good way to look at it, you know. And I don't think there's a snake out there that's going to outproduce like the wow factor of a pied to an average person. I mean, that gene blows anyone away if they've never seen it before. It's crazy.
Yeah. Right. And then you start looking at pan pieds and the orange dream pieds and how far we've taken that.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And it's only
pieds are the gateway drug to ball pythons.
They are 100%. I could agree. 100%.
After that, they start thinking all the other morphs are cool, but before they see a pied, they don't think much of the other morphs.
That is very true.
Words, man. Couldn't be said about that. I like that a lot. And then now here we are just eating everything up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I know we're about 16 minutes past the hour, right? Now we always try and be respectful of people's time. I don't know, Justin, what are you feeling? Do you want to keep going a little bit? Should we ask chat?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go as long as people want. It's no problem. I want to make sure we get some of these. I want to make sure people feel like their questions were overlooked. That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to scan through.
Will just had another really kind of cool question about double recessives and triple recessives. Do you think it's makes more sense to really develop a double recessive rather than moving for a triple recessive? I mean, if you can do both, but if you had to do one or the other, kind of thing.
So I think we kind of covered this a little bit last time. We were talking about it a little bit, and I was saying that there is no formula for this. There's no reason that a triple recessive is a good way to go, except for that it looks amazing. Right. So people are like, well, I'm going to make I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that's going to look terrible. An albino ultra male hypo.
Right.
You know? Like,
yeah.
You know what? That triple recessive is absolutely positively not worth it. Any double recessive is better than that one. So I think it doesn't, triple, double doesn't really matter. They're all very hard, and you go for where you're getting a real power packed punch of an amazing animal. But I'd also say that I wouldn't just shoot for triples right off. I would develop doubles for a long time, because like we talked about before, you're going to need those doubles to increase your odds. If you go straight for the triple and have no other animals on the shelf, you're going to be hitting on bad odds year after year after year, where you could be developing a double mutation, double recessive, and you actually could get somewhere much faster once you decide to switch it into a triple.
Yeah, you can move quick once you have that first double recessive, I feel like, and especially like a male, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see.
Craziest fanboy story.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, the craziest fanboy story.
Well, there's that one time Miguel Garcia saw me.
Yeah, that dude is a fanboy for sure.
No, everybody's really nice. Sometimes people are uncomfortably nice, but no, it's not. Everybody's very nice.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, the person that's being too nice, right? You always have to wonder.
Yeah. And those people are always the first ones to say you're a jerk if you do anything even slightly incorrect around them. So you got to tread lightly.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that.
And we did have a question pop in earlier. Do you think Cypress and Red Stripe are allelic, and will we find out this season?
So you'll find out this year, I think, but not from me.
Okay.
Because I don't have. I'll be making more Cypress Red Stripes, but I don't have one that's going to be breeding to find out how the clutch splits. But Eric went with Tall Grass Reptiles. He makes awesome cages. He has a clutch from a male red stripe cypress, so that will be a good indicator. If he doesn't hit a double visual out of that, it'll be a good indicator that it is a look. I'm just basing my theory that it's allelic is just based on the fact that the combination looks completely insane compared to what it ought to, based on what the genes look like.
Right.
So, and a lot of times we find that to be the case. When you get a vanilla cream, it's because they're allelic, because the combos makes no sense, or
highways.
Highways, exactly. It makes no sense because
that's an insane snake.
It's super, right? It's a super, so that's the reason. Which is really interesting because Cypress red stripes are amazing. They're cool, but a super cypress, has a little bit of a spin to it, and a little bit of that aspect, but the Cypress red stripes don't. So it's interesting when you have a true super that has a negative aspect to it, but then you combine it with an allelic gene that no longer has that. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And that'll be an interesting one if they do prove a lilac, because both are pretty strong in the market right now. So it's not like,
Right.
like the gravel yellow belly situation, right? You had one gene that had been around for a long time and it had kind of devalued it quite a bit, right? And then you had gravel pop out, right? And so, yeah. So that'll be interesting if they do prove a lilac to see what the market kind of reacts with that.
Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, it's very, very positive for the market when they're lilac.
Right.
Because it makes them much more difficult to produce. So, I mean, but vanilla creams were big money and hot sinks for a lot longer than they would have been if they weren't a lilac.
Yeah.
You can't just buy a vanilla cream and reproduce it, straight out, and same thing for highways and all these others. They'd last a lot longer financially speaking if they're not if they are lilac. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And Cusco popped the question along the lilac lines, and something that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but so blackhead and spider, they're a lilac, but they cancel each other out almost and make a normal. So he was kind of asking if you've looked at that combo. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I've made them from, I don't understand why it did that. It makes no sense, and it's not helpful at all.
Right. It isn't helpful.
I don't see any positive aspect to that. The fact that it does that is very interesting.
Yeah, you just make a bunch of normal.
I guess in the sense that, I don't know. I don't even know how it's positive anyway. But it also, from what I understand, hidden gene woma and blackhead are also lilac, which makes sense.
Oh, that does make sense.
Spider and hidden gene woma are lilac. And some have suggested that spot nose is also in that same complex.
Interesting.
Because spot nose, as you know, the superform has a wobble, has a little bit of a negative side to it, and it wobbles when you put it with spider, and it wobbles when you put it with hidden gene woma.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I've made spot nose blackheads now, but I don't know if they're lilac yet or not. So.
Okay.
Really interesting.
That's crazy.
All that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the fun part also with this too, is we're kind of like just amateur geneticists, right? Doing it by trial and error with the animals, you know what I mean? That's fun.
Yeah, and then odds get involved, and it could be years just to find out a simple answer.
Right.
Because of how things have fallen. What should be a simple answer.
Yeah, what should be a simple answer can take, years to hit.
But I've always been fascinated by if you made a spider hidden gene a spider blackhead pied, if it would have pattern, if it would look like a normal pied or not.
If it would look like a normal pied, yeah.
Fascinated by that.
Yeah,
if it looked like a normal pied, or if it would somehow be very different, So I've actually paired for that. Like talking about simple answers that are hard to get. I've paired for that 3 or 4 times now and not hit on a pied from that pairing. So that's not very normal, and that's why.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
It's gonna be like your Suma pied, like how many clutches later?
It was 8. I think it was 8 clutches and 56 eggs. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's a testament to sticking with your guns right there.
Right.
That's a testament to having no other ideas but to keep trying. I didn't know what else to do with those animals except for just keep breeding them together year after year.
Right. Stubborn like a mule, right? Like you just gotta keep going.
Yeah.
Hey, so Derek asked for a second time, and I would hate for Derek to ask for a third time. What are your thoughts on the rainbow gene?
Boy. Okay. So I like the rainbow. I think they're gorgeous. Gorgeous. But it's one of those genes that we're talking about. I kind of look at it in the same realm as I look at the scaleless and the candinos and the black axanthics, in the sense that it's amazing, but it's got some market headwinds.
Yeah,
a little bit. And the market headwinds for the rainbow is the fact that there's already a bajillion different types of albino.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's not to say that rainbow's not the best. I mean, I would be hard pressed to say it's not the best. But people, when they're faced with an investment and they see a lineup of snakes in front of them, and they see one of them costs, 20 times as much, that's just you have a big obstacle to overcome in that moment. You know?
Right.
And we're going back to what people think of the snake when they see it, the average person. So that's why, I got into it early, the lavender, but I've thrown all in on the lavender from the beginning. And I feel like it has some of the same, suffers from the same stuff because it's more expensive than a regular albino, etc. But it does have in a lot of ways the best of all worlds in the sense that when it hatches, it looks the brightest orange, pretty much any of them. I mean, rainbow, I think, is pretty close. As far as hatchling color.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so you put that lavender on the table after the first shed, it's gonna turn some heads. But then it gets better and better with age, which also the rainbow does as well. It's just a matter of the price point,
Right.
And whether or not you can get enough people in on the project to create a kind of a
drive.
Yeah, you kind of have to, like, for example, like SK Axanthic was dead until JD took it up and like he created a market out of thin air for that mutation.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that in a way that I've kept the lavender strong over all these years.
Absolutely.
You need to have a certain amount of people kind of behind you, driving and pushing at something for it to overcome the obstacles and start to become something where people have enough in their collection that they're trying to grow it. And so because once you throw in with a certain albino gene, there's no reason to have another one. So you're coming into a marketplace where a lot of people already have an albino gene of some sort, and you got to basically tell them, hey, the one you spent all these years on. Sorry, this is probably way too long an answer. This one you have, the one you've all these years on, is now not as good. Get rid of them all and buy this one. That's a hard sell. And so that's why I'm not all in on the rainbow, even though it's amazing. Yeah.
Right. It's tough. Yeah, I love that answer though, because that touches on a lot of points though. It's the market, it's the price, and then it's convincing people to get into it. Because a lot of this is hype. A lot of these combos are hype, and their value is based on hype. So that's big.
It's good. It's salesmanship.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah, now Derek's unsubbing because he feels attacked. And Adam had to call him out like that. Now here
No, I love the G. No. I just think, Derek, you're gonna have to bring it, man, and convince us all why we're wrong, and that'll be following your own road. It's awesome.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
So, quick question then. Next shows you're coming up to? Are you coming up to any maybe West Coast shows so all of us guys out here can check it out?
I definitely want to come to Sacramento. My dad lives in Napa, so it's right there. I get to see family, and I love Sacramento, so I want to go there. My brother's in college there, and then I want to come down to Pomona again in January. I loved that show. That was fantastic.
Yeah, okay. So the January show for Pomona, because they have that August one too.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna miss the August one probably. I'll be about to move into the new building hopefully by then. I'm gonna try to just do. Hopefully, I might still do the CRBE in Toronto, but then pretty much that in Tinley, and
right.
Hopefully Chase will be back with me and I'll be rocking again. And I'll have more time.
Heck yeah, we expect to see him at Tinley.
Yeah, big time. No, I told him this is the funny thing. It's a little anecdote because I told him I think I'd rather have the tumor than be in his situation right now because he's gonna have to go to these shows for the next 10 years and see his face all over the place.
I know.
I am a little bit socially a little bit of social anxiety anyways, but the fact that I'm, knocking into people in the crowd, they have my face on them, and then
I have one of those.
knowing that they donated to help me, and then you guys like, man, I gotta stop and say something to every person, otherwise you're being a jerk about it. And it's really the obligation and social obligation of it all. Like, the nice thing is that he is very well equipped to handle that.
Right.
He is very good, and I would not trade places with him in a second.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah, I got me one of those shirts. Some good English too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny. They've got, have I already thanked this person? How many years? How many years do you have? What's the statute of limitations for being thankful? So he's wearing a shirt with your name or your face on it.
Yeah. That's most statute of limitations are at least 5 to 10 years. So I mean,
right.
you're
talking about tens of thousands of conversations with people you don't know, but that really helped you out in a pinch. So it's just it's a funny thought.
Yeah, it is. That is good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've been here for an hour and a half. I don't want to keep anybody too long, as kind of maybe wrap this up. I know we're going to have a round 3 now. So there's that. And
might have to make this a regularly scheduled, like once a quarter. Justin pops in. Says
Coffee with Justin.
I'm bored, man. I have a great time. I enjoy it, and it's fun to. A lot of questions I wouldn't, I don't hear very often. So
holy crap, dude! Your video quality just got amazing right now. Do you have the snakes with you?
Did it really?
I swear, it really did. Video quality
I've
just
been
got.
under the impression that I've been off video this whole time. Have I been on video?
Well, you've been bouncing in and out for sure.
What you should do is leave your phone and go grab the snakes.
Well, there's no good lighting in my office. Is the problem?
Yeah.
Oh crap!
Wait, but it's still good. Don't jinx us.
Okay, hold on.
Hold on, everybody. Hold on.
Is it working? Okay.
I just had to comment on that because I swear to God, as we were like getting ready to say goodbye, the quality.
All right.
Was what
Can you guys
said.
see it still?
Yeah, it's still great.
Okay. All right.
Oh my God.
Oh, dude. Oh my God! It just went like again.
So this is the only one that's not shed of the coral glows yet. But did it go out again?
It's
no.
decent. It's decent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna try to keep it still. Check that out. I posted a picture on Instagram while we were talking too.
Heck yeah. So I mean, you can go. Yeah, that one looks like it's gonna be crazy. Wow.
Did you highlight Justin again? So when we talk, it only shows the snakes?
Yeah.
All right. Good deal. Dude, those look amazing. Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the one.
Yeah. Nobody move. Everybody stay still.
Yeah. I think it's a spot nose, yellow belly, red striped coral glow clown. So,
yeah, that's incredible, man.
Wow.
Yeah, we're losing you now.
Okay.
Man, it was really good. It was. I had to call it out for a moment.
No, the little HD thing came up underneath your name. I was like, oh, here we go. Right.
Yeah. Oh man. No, Justin, thanks so much, dude.
Yeah. I had a great time. It was great to get some time.
Really.
And, thanks for all the questions, you guys. They're awesome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, really appreciate your time, man. Really do. Yeah, I know. I love hearing from you, and I know everybody else does too. So super thankful.
Yeah. And I'm a little jealous you got Miguel to sit down for an interview with you, but that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I told him he needs to do one with you guys. I put in a good word.
Yeah, heck yeah. We need that. Wrangling him. I'm just have to show up to his house and then just wrangle him.
I've tried. We'll have to dupe him into it where we advertise it as a Justin interview, but really I'll go to his house and it'll be his interview.
Right.
That'd be great. Just had to break in the door, I remember.
Right? Yeah, he just hates it. But all right, well, thank you all for jumping in. I know we We were having a good time. I really appreciate everybody who showed up. This has been fun. This has just been such a cool experience getting to talk to everybody, and then the chat is always awesome. Really, really thankful. You guys are always keeping chat respectful and to the point. Nothing really, too retarded going on and stuff like that. So super, super thankful for that. We have a great crowd, so I want to just say thanks for that. And then at that note, we got Loki to close it out. And then we have everybody's information is in the description. Their YouTube channels, Instagrams. Just jump over there and check everybody out. So yeah, thanks again, everybody.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
All right.
See you, Loki.
Guys. Have a good one.
See you, buddy. See you, Justin.
See ya.